Hey everybody, it's Hawk. Welcome back to my channel. Thanks for coming back. I'm recording this at about 6 p.m. on Tuesday, June 2nd. Another episode of Todd Blanche is a malignant potato. I'm kidding, but we're going to talk about Todd Blanche. This is going to be another news recap video of some of the news stories for today. We're going to start with just in the United States and Iran are firing missiles at each other again. U.S. Central Command posted a public statement. There's video of us firing missiles at each other. So there's that. More at 11, I guess. We're going to talk about Todd Blanche. We're going to talk about two ridiculous appointments that Donald Trump made today. We're going to see DHS Secretary Mark Wayne Mullin go full potato in front of a Senate subcommittee. Sean Hannity, we're going to talk about Todd Blanche twice. Sean Hannity had Todd Blanche on his podcast, and Todd Blanche brought up so much conspiracy theory bullshit that they had to put a disclaimer on the episode. Donald Trump's executive order on mail-in ballots from a week or two ago. Remember, the first judge that took a look at this upheld it, refused to block any of it. That judge was a Trump appointee. I told you guys at the time I wasn't worried because it was going to go up to the D.C. Court of Appeals, which are full of a bunch of judges that have ruled against Donald Trump. And there were several other motions pending in different states. A judge in Massachusetts is blocking parts of that tonight. Then we're going to talk about the second horrific appointment that Donald Trump made today. Then we're going to make fun of a MAGA podcaster named Dave Rubin and watch him get humiliated by people half his age. So let's start off with Todd Blanche. He testified in front of a House. He testified in front of the House and the Senate today and in front of different subcommittees. He was supposed to go testify about this 1.776 white reparations insurrectionist fund that Donald Trump was supposed to get up and running. But Representative Madeleine Dean from Pennsylvania has been hot on the Epstein files for months, and she used her time to ask him about the Epstein files, claiming to have proof that Donald Trump has lied about being on Epstein's plane.
Been in the room. I have been there. This is what I had to do to transcribe, to show what is true. What is true is that the president has lied about being on Epstein's plane, and the unredacted files prove that. There's a lot in here. I'm shocked at
This is all part of the congressional record now, permanent history of the United States.
this. There's also this set of files in the file. This is investigation into the potential co-conspirators of Jeffrey Epstein. I almost used up all the blank ink in the hallway because it's all covered up.
It's all redacted.
It's all covered up.
The file on Jeffrey Epstein's co-conspirators. Yeah.
American people are not stupid.
About 80 million Americans are, though. So there's that.
They know that when members of Congress have to go in and actually unredact to try to find the truth for these victims, something is corrupt. Something is corrosive.
I'm not going to argue with her about that point. But she was making such good headway when she was questioning Turd Blanche. I think I'm going to use that new nickname for him. Acting Attorney General Turd Blanche, that she still had 3 minutes of time when the Republican chair of whatever committee this was informed her that she was out of time. And she was not out of time. She was doing a good job, so they were trying to shut her down.
Say in terms of transparency, it says that they should be made publicly available.
And they were.
Am I correct?
And
Publicly available.
And they were.
Oh, let's talk about that.
Okay.
Time of the gentlelady has expired.
I beg your pardon. And I'd actually like to get 20 seconds back. How do I get cut off 2 minutes into this?
2 minutes and 10 seconds.
Time of the gentlelady has expired.
I beg your pardon, Mr. Chairman.
So I think that guy's name is Mr. Bowers. Let me double Rogers. Hal Rogers, Republican from Kentucky, who is more concerned about protecting pedophiles than in letting Democratic Representative Dean ask Todd Blanche, Turd Blanche, these questions.
What rules are we operating under? Because he's under a little bit of heat for not prosecuting anyone in these monstrous crimes? I've been
Bingo. Bingo. Representative Dean has been like almost singular on the Epstein files this year, along with Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie. Thomas Massie today was on the floor of the House and said he's going to start naming names of very prominent business people, millionaires, billionaires, friends of the administration, and said that some of them are going to be embarrassed, but that most of them should be in prison. So we'll see if he follows through on that. So Donald Trump, his administration stunned people today by appointing a convicted January 6th rioter to a major counterterrorism role. You can't make this shit up. The Washington Post reported that Trump appointed Elias Erizari to a job in the Defense Department's Special Operations and Low Intensity Conflict Office. The office oversees and advocates for special operations and irregular warfare through the Department of War to ensure these capabilities are resourced, ready, and properly employed in accordance with the National Defense Strategy. Remember a few weeks ago or a couple months ago, part of the National Defense Strategy is locking up Antifa. Erizari was 19 and a freshman at the Citadel, which is a military college, military academy, at the time he participated in the January 6th riot. He pleaded guilty to a misdemeanor charge of entering a restricted area and was sentenced to 14 days in jail. And then he was pardoned by Donald Trump. This appointment sparked swift backlash. But before we get to that, let's look at Elias Erizari. Jesus Christ on a pogo stick. That's him on January 6th. And apparently he's running for Congress or ran for Congress in South Carolina. But that's our boy, Elias Erizari. Good God. One person who was familiar with Erizari's hiring told the Washington Post, in the case of rescue extraction missions, it can place our special operators in some of the most complex and dangerous environments. We ask of them to put someone so junior and new to the Department of Defense and with such a checkered background into such a sensitive portfolio raises serious questions for leadership. Yeah, he's 26 and he's done nothing in his life. He's not qualified for this position. But we're going to talk about another appointment that Trump made a little bit later on. Let's watch Mark Wayne Mullin, who also testified before a Senate subcommittee today, answer Democratic Senator Chris Murphy's question about whether or not he will obey court orders as the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security. Mark Wayne Mullin was recently elevated to this cabinet position after having served in the House and served in the Senate for a couple of years. During his tenure in the Senate, Mark Wayne Mullin was the only member of the Senate of either party to not have a college degree. Mark Wayne Mullin is dumb. He is unimaginably dumb. He is just one of the dumbest fucking people I've ever seen in my life. He is so incredibly dumb.
Thank you. Ranking Member Murphy.
Thank you, Chair Britt. Thank you, Secretary Mullin, for being here today. Mr. Secretary, I think you were crazy to have taken on this job. But at your confirmation hearing, you did promise that you would get DHS out of the headlines. We took you at your word, but nothing has really gotten better. In fact, you've spent the first 2 months of your tenure threatening to suspend international arrivals in states represented by Democrats. Not only would that throw our entire air travel system into chaos, it's completely illegal, which underscores the main issue of this hearing. The reason why.
This is my Mark Wayne Mullin impersonation. He from Oklahoma.
why Democrats and Republicans were not able to find agreement on the underlying DHS appropriations bill is because never before in the history of our nation has a federal agency been run so far off the rails as the Department of Homeland Security. Every day, this agency is breaking the law.
Well, that was Christy Dome's fault, and she ain't there no more. She was there with that Corey Lewandowski feller, and they were having sex on the plane.
At scale and wasting billions of taxpayer dollars. DHS does not implement the law any longer. It makes up the law. Don't take my word for it. 10,000 times in the short 18 months this administration has run DHS, judges have overturned this agency's immigration decisions.
That seems like a pretty big number. Martha, is that bad? That's bad.
Essentially, every case that gets before a judge gets overturned. The agency has locked up American citizens. It has killed peaceful protesters just for getting in the way.
No, they were domestic terrorists. I seen that on the Fox News. They were domestic terrorists. And Kristi Noem said that. And that little feller who looks like a naked mole rat, Stephen Miller, said that too.
It has applied a completely made-up set of immigration laws and deported hundreds of thousands of immigrants who broke no laws.
Well, I mean, they were here illegally. That's a crime. That's not a crime. It's a civil matter. Oh, well, shit. That ain't no good.
Playing by the rules, who had legitimate claims to stay in the United States. A federal judge recently cited DHS for violating 96 different court orders in one single state. Not that this agency violated the law 96 different times in that state. No. On 96 occasions, DHS was caught violating the law, was ordered to obey the law, and 96 times ignored the judge.
Well, I mean, that's nitpicking.
In one state. That is stunning, and it should be unacceptable to anyone on this committee who claims to care about the rule of law.
Yeah, but all them federal judges are activist libs. Everybody knows that.
To make matters worse, this agency is spending money like stone-drunk sailors. Let's just take the massive detention centers that you are building. In Social Circle, Georgia, DHS allegedly paid almost $129 million for a property previously valued at $29 million.
I don't like this feller, Chris Murphy. He does not want to make America great again.
In Socorro, Texas, a property previously valued at $11 million was sold to DHS for around $123 million, a 1,000% markup.
That's called appreciation. That means the market's doing good. If the price is going up, then that means the market's doing good. And if the market's doing good, that's directly because of Donald Trump's tariffs and war in Iran.
Somebody is getting rich, fabulously rich.
Americans are getting rich. We are now the hottest country on the planet. It's hot, 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 baby. We are the hottest country. Woo!
Off of those deals. Or take the company Geo Group. Geo Group was a small contractor in 2024, net income of about $31 million. But then Geo Group made enormous contributions to the president's political operations.
That's the way it's done, the American dream, baby. That's right. Make America great again.
And a revolving door started between Geo Group and DHS. Tom Homan worked for the Geo Group, now works for DHS. David.
See, now that Tom Homan, he's a go-getter, man. I mean, he took a $50,000 bribe from two undercover FBI agents who were video recording and audio recording him, and he took a $50,000 bribe from them in a plastic grocery bag, and he got away with it. Okay? He got away with it. That to me shows initiative. That's right. That shows initiative.
Venturella, Geo Group executive, is now poised to be the next head of ICE. And guess what happened? In just a year, as its executives have gone to work for the agency, as the political contributions flowed to the president, their revenue went from $31 million to, wait for it, $254 million. And
again, baby, that's the American dream. I'll bet they probably got Don Jr. on their board. I mean, because that's how you do it, man. Come on now. That's how you do it. Come on now. They must have Don Jr. or Eric or Barron. I mean, what the hell's up with that kid, man? Is he autistic? I'm not. But it's all you got to do is get one of them Trump boys on the board of your company and then bam, $620 million loan. Boom. American dream, baby. Yeah. Woo.
800% jump in just 1 year.
800%, baby. That's right. See, here's another thing. If you raise the price of something by 800%, like if you have a $100 item and you raise that price to $900, you have raised that price to 800%. Okay. And then if you take that $900 item and you reduce that price to nothing, then you have reduced the price of that item by 900%. A lot of people don't know that, but I was very good at math when I was in, well, I mean, I dropped out in the 8th grade, but I was very good at math when I was in school.
When President Trump came into office, ICE's budget was $10 billion. Today, with the obscene cash infusion this Republican Congress has given your agency, ICE's effective annual budget is now 11 times that, $115 billion.
Well, they had to buy the sex plane for Kristi Noem and Corey Lewandowski. I mean, come on now.
And with these real estate deals and these contractor deals, at times the agency seems to be lighting this money on fire.
Now they're using that money to make the American people wealthy. Americans have never had so much money and economic power. They're spending so much money. The fact that Americans, I mean, when Donald Trump took office, okay, my truck could only hold $75 worth of gas, all right? And now, 14, 15 months into Donald Trump's second term, my truck now holds $150 worth of gas. I mean, it didn't hold that much gas before. It only held $75 worth of gas. Now it holds $150 worth of gas. Come on, that's just bonkers. That's crazy. That's progress. That's progress and economic strength.
But for this committee, that should be unacceptable because the money that is being wasted, it is earned by plumbers and security guards and teachers. They entrust it to us to spend it wisely.
Well, teachers are indoctrinating our kids and cutting off kindergartners' wieners, and they all got litter boxes in their classrooms because now the school kids are identifying as cats and dogs, and they just fucking go to the bathroom in a litter box right in front of the whole fucking class. You know, it's like you're doing your first grade reading lesson, and little Johnny, who now identifies as a fucking puppy, goes up there and takes a shit in the litter box in front of all the fucking school kids. That ain't no good.
We swear an oath when we arrive here to assure that their money is not used to fund unconstitutional or illegal behavior.
This government, this administration doesn't do anything at all that is illegal or unconstitutional. They just don't. Ain't nobody.
Single day this agency is violating the Constitution and the law. This cannot continue. For Congress to approve of this budget, you must assure us that this Sherman's march of illegality ends. You must stop padding the pockets of immigration industry CEOs. You must.
Chris Murphy asks, that was Cletus P. Twatwaffle, by the way. Christopher Murphy is like, will you direct your department to comply with court orders? And he's like, well, all of these judges have been politicized. He wouldn't give him a yes or no answer. Like, will you comply with orders from federal judges as the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security? He's like, well, it's just like, what the fuck, man? Also, going back to Todd Blanche, Sean Hannity, and I can't believe this is a thing that exists. So Sean Hannity's on for an hour on Fox News every single night for his Sean Hannity show. He also does a podcast on a very fancy set with lights and chairs and comfortable and da-da-da. And guess what the title of Sean Hannity's podcast is? Hang Out with Sean Hannity. As though there's literally anyone on this fucking planet who wants to hang out with Sean Hannity. Anyway, Sean Hannity's guest today on his podcast, Hang Out with Sean Hannity, was Todd Blanche. And Todd Blanche was on there for 90 minutes, and Todd Blanche spewed so many bullshit, baseless conspiracy theories as the acting attorney general for the United States of America that at the end of that 90 minutes, the producers put up a disclaimer that basically said, almost everything that Todd Blanche said during this podcast was bullshit. So we're going to take a look at the last couple seconds of this podcast, hang out with Sean Hannity, and then we're going to look and see who and what is included in this disclaimer. Bear in mind, following the 2020 election, most of the primetime hosts for Fox News repeatedly on air pushed the idea that Dominion voting machines had been used to flip the election from Donald Trump to Joe Biden, and Joe Biden stole the election from Donald Trump using Dominion voting machines. Dominion voting machines sued them for defamation. And Fox News voluntarily paid Dominion voting machines almost $800 million to make that lawsuit go away. All right, let's check out Todd Blanche and this disclaimer.
What we're doing every day, and that's why you're seeing real results in the department. You're seeing the president's priorities that he's talked about a lot, and that the American people elected him to put into place. It turns out that they work. It turns out that if you put
the insurrectionist compensation fund didn't work, it only lasted 2 weeks.
Our hardworking men and women of law enforcement on the streets and say, go get them. And if you tell our prosecutors to stop doing all these silly cases and focus on putting bad guys in jail, it turns out you can make your community safer.
Oh, Todd Blanche, AG, thanks for hanging out with us.
Thank you. It was great.
Appreciate you being here.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you.
John Brennan, Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Letitia James, Alvin Bragg, Matthew Colangelo, Arthur Engeron, and James Clapper have not been charged with any crimes in connection with any alleged conspiracy. Charges against James Comey related to alleged false statements and obstruction have been dismissed. There have been no findings that Rod Rosenstein, Tim Walz, Gavin Newsom, or Jacob Fry engaged in any professional misconduct. So apparently the acting attorney general of the United States fucking slandered or defamed like 25 public figures in a 90-minute podcast. That is fucking amazing. Look at that. Producers of Fox News, after watching the acting, and they misspelled Matthew in line 2, after watching 90 minutes of Todd Blanche and Sean Hannity have a conversation with each other, the producers at Fox News were like, yeah, we're going to have to go through this with a fine-tooth comb and put up one hell of a disclaimer at the end of this episode. Look at that. That is insane. That is absolutely insane. Wow. My mind is blown by that. Mind blown. Getting back to Donald Trump's executive order on mail-in ballots from a couple of weeks ago, according to Bloomberg Law, U.S. District Judge Indira Talwani pressed the Justice Department on the president's order for the Department of Homeland Security to draw up a list of confirmed citizens, which states could use in creating a list of eligible mail-in voters to provide to the U.S. Postal Service. As if that would even work. Quote from the judge, "You'll have a small list." Under Trump's executive order, states would have to provide these lists within 30 days of an election, and the Postal Service would directly block sending ballots to anyone not on these lists. There are about 260 million eligible voters in the United States. So you're going to tell me that the Postal Service is going to compare every single mail-in ballot that gets sent out to a list of 260 million names. That's insane. So the judge gave it a chilly reception during a hearing today. She's expected to issue an order shortly as to whether or not she is going to block this executive order from going into effect. All right, we got 2 stories left, and one of them involves the abject humiliation of a Trump humper. Before we get to that one, Donald Trump. So Tulsi Gabbard got fired a couple weeks ago, and Donald Trump has nominated, or he has installed or put in as acting director of national intelligence, a guy named Bill Pulte, who it comes from the world of mortgages, not from the military, not from the world of intelligence, not from the FBI, not from the CIA, not from the Defense Department. He was a mortgage guy who, up until very, very recently, was running the Federal Housing Finance Agency, where he was going through the private mortgage records of people like Adam Schiff, Letitia James, and I think even Eric Swalwell and a couple other people, so that he could try to get them charged with mortgage fraud. And so Donald Trump has named this guy to be his director of national intelligence. This is a dozen or more Senate Republicans, because he's going to have to get confirmed by the Senate to this position. They were just like, this guy has nothing even remotely close to qualifications for this job. Ken Delanian, a MSNBC reporter who is fantastic, he said on MSNBC earlier today, this is really an incredible development. Bill Pulte is an investment guy. He's a real estate guy. He has not only no intelligence experience, but no foreign policy experience. And we should remember there is a provision in the law. This job was created after 9/11 to knit together the strands of intelligence and connect the dots. And there's a provision in the authorizing legislation that requires the person holding this job to have significant, substantial intelligence experience. I mean, they confirmed Tulsi Gabbard, so apparently that law means jack. That's it for this episode of the news update, recap, whatever the hell this is with Hawk. I'm Hawk. Thanks for watching. I'd like to thank my special guest, Cletus P. Twatwaffle, for showing up in the middle of this episode. That was kind of spur of the moment. It seemed appropriate. And I keep his little outfit in a bag on the floor right next to me just in case. Thanks again for watching. I'm Hawk. Please click like, leave a comment, and subscribe to my channel. Everybody enjoy the rest of your week. Please stay safe. I'll see you guys soon.